Over the weekend, Shedeur Sanders, or not over the weekend, during this week, Shedeur Sanders was citing for driving over 100 miles per hour, and apparently this is the second time that he has been stopped this month. For some reason, Sean, the public doesn't know how to handle when guys have driving incidents. I know that there's the extreme. The Henry Ruggs situation, the stuff that has happened with Georgia football, those to me are the extremes. I think it's fine for us to have the conversation of like, does this really affect anything? Is this a real concern? Will this impact Shedeur Sanders' ability to start? Will this become a distraction for the Browns? All of those questions can be asked. I think all of them are invalid. I think that they are. He is in his early 20s. If I could count up the amount of times that I got pulled over for going 95 on the highway when I was speeding, when I shouldn't have been, when I was 23 years old, I probably have more than Shedeur Sanders did. I think I got pulled over 3-4 times from the age of 21 to 24. Now, I got pulled over enough times that I don't get pulled over anymore because I'm a little bit more careful and more diligent at paying attention to cops. Yeah. But I still speed. So I'm saying this to say, I feel like there's a lot of big, dumpy 40-year-old idiots who chime in on this crap, who try to do the whole like, oh, he's a real distraction for the team. He's not focused. He's not locked in. You know, he can't be doing all this. It's fake outrage because naturally we find ourselves wanting to be outraged at things that Shedeur Sanders does. Was this dumb? Yeah. Don't speed. Don't go over 100 miles an hour. Is it anything more than just a silly mistake that somebody in the early 20s made? Yes. I don't think it needs to go much further than that. I feel like you disagree with me, though.
Here's the thing. The blowhards are the ones that are going to create the most noise with this because it's obviously a right or wrong stance. And whenever you're defending the wrong stance with any type of rationale, they're going to say, oh, no, I'm right. And you know I'm right because it's the law, and that's all true. And
I hate when people do that.
Unfortunately, though, in situations like right or wrong, like speeding and driving recklessly and all this, there is a right and wrong. But when we value it with football players and athletes, it gets mixed up. Jordan Addison was going like 120 with a dog incident, but was anyone talking about that in week 6?
No.
And
so that's a lot more extreme than 20 miles an hour is a big difference.
This Shedeur Sanders stuff, it's more disappointing than it is angering for me because why, if you're Shedeur Sanders, do you take any chances? And I get it. I would race in my 2003 shitbox coming home from Fairfax, Virginia to Arlington, Virginia at night, always getting beat by Challengers and Track Hawks. But for some reason, when you have an open highway and there's one guy with a cool car, you kind of want to race. So I understand that urge. But if you're Shedeur Sanders and everybody's talking about every move you make, giving the blowhards any ammo is just a bad look for them because
it's fair.
We're not going to be talking about this in a month and a half. We won't, if he's still on the Browns by then, which I expect he will be, but we're not. If everything plays out as it should naturally for the next 2 months, this will be a blip on the radar. No one even remembers it. But for right now, in the offseason, last thing you want to have happen is give talk shows ammo or writers ammo or anybody ammo, especially with all the drama that happened this past May with him.
Right. I'm fine with bringing up that talking point of like, look, you have a real chance to start here. You and I have on this show talked a lot about how we think that he should be the starter and there's a clear path. This is the least amount of resistance to becoming a starter than any other team in the NFL. There is no better situation because it's two dopes, two veteran dopes, a really promising, great leader in Dylan Gabriel, who's probably not built to be a long-term starter. You have a chance to get onto the field. So you're already the most controversial name, clickable name, hence why we're talking about Shedeur Sanders.
Of course.
I mean,
we're not above it.
Yeah. Oh, no, absolutely not.
This
absolutely
show
not.
is not above it.
Not above it. You're going to create headlines no matter what you do. There are plenty positive headlines that could be created. And as you just said, there's a lot of extreme haters, not your typical haters, like the furthest extreme possible that think that Shedeur Sanders is a piece of crap when he's not. And they're going to use stuff like this as ammo. I know that Shedeur Sanders is weathered enough, tough enough that he's used to it and he doesn't care. But when you're in the NFL, yeah, I agree with you. Like, you can't give that fuel when you're already trying to battle against it. At the same time, we talked about post-draft why he fell. The biggest bit that a lot of franchises came out, mostly anonymously, teams didn't want to have to deal with all of the good and bad publicity that would come from Shedeur Sanders. So things that he does on the field, things that he says in the post-game press conferences, when he does stuff like this off the field that's just as simple as driving that creates enormous headlines, it's a headache that teams don't want to have to deal with for a guy that's not starting. So that could be a driving force that if he is not good enough after the preseason to start, they might say to themselves, well, we're just going to keep DeLeone Gabriel because we don't feel like dealing with this for a guy that's going to be our third string quarterback. I say that all to say, to mainly still reiterate, it's not that big of a deal, though. Like, if we're talking in a vacuum, this is not a big deal. Like, we shouldn't act like he's a piece of crap because he was driving fast.
It's not, but here's why we do, is because everybody drives and not everyone plays quarterback in the NFL. So when a quarterback in the NFL gives you some type of connection to something you do in your life, you say, I'm not going 101 miles per hour. I'm not speeding. So why can't he not? Just because you're doing something similar to Shedeur Sanders, that you cannot just go and blindly make parallels. But because you have a connection point, people do. It also doesn't help. Tell me if you think this call has come into a Cleveland station today. Well, DeLeone Gabriel drives a minivan. How come Shedeur doesn't drive the minivan and he's safe and slow? Like why don't you don't think that's been a call so far today? Because it's documented that the other quarterback you drafted drives a nice, safe family vehicle, and Shedeur Sanders, exciting, flashy, talented, capable, humble quarterback from a lot he's done.
Does he drive? I know he drives a sports car. Is it Lambo?
I thought it might be a Lambo truck. It might be a Urus. I can't confirm it.
I think that
drive something I couldn't even walk into the dealership to look at. That's what he's driving. I don't even know where the dealership is. It could be in Madrid. It could be in Milan. I don't know where they possibly buy these things.
Here, let's solve the problem. I don't know where the nearest racetrack is, but let's get DeLeone Gabriel in the minivan and Shedeur Sanders with the Urus on the racetrack. Let's see who wins that race. Okay, so wait, here's a take though. I don't want to hear all of the the righteous individuals that are just so appalled by him driving so fast, because most of these people that are complaining drive pickup trucks. I think everyone's smart enough to understand where I'm getting at here. Most of these dickheads that are making these comments drive big, souped up pickup trucks. Anyone who's been on the road and in the left lane has been almost rear-ended by a pickup truck that is trying to tailgate the shit out of you.
They're maniacs.
All of you assholes drive more recklessly than the 100 mile per hours that he was going on a highway.
And for some reason, they do it in these big-ass trucks that are lifted up.